The period known as the Anglo-Saxon era was a transformative time for the island of Britain. Following the decline of Roman influence, Germanic tribes, including the Angles, Saxons, and Jutes, migrated and settled, establishing numerous small kingdoms. These kingdoms, such as Wessex, Mercia, Northumbria, and East Anglia, were often in conflict with one another, vying for dominance and resources across the fertile lands. The dream of a unified English nation was yet to be realized, existing perhaps only in the minds of the most ambitious rulers. This era was characterized by fierce loyalty to local lords and a fragmented political landscape that shifted like the coastal tides, making widespread stability a rare commodity. Before the ascent of King Athelstan, the concept of England as a single, cohesive political entity was still in its nascent stages. For centuries, the land had been a mosaic of independent and often warring kingdoms. While some powerful rulers like Alfred the Great had managed to unite significant portions of the Anglo-Saxon territories against common enemies such as the Viking invaders, a truly consolidated realm under one undisputed English king remained elusive. The constant threat of internal strife and external raids meant that power was precarious and often short-lived. The idea of a single crown for all English-speaking peoples was a bold vision in such a divided world, a challenge awaiting a truly exceptional leader. It is into this tumultuous world that Athelstan emerged as a figure of paramount importance. The British Isles in the early 10th century were a dangerous theater of political and military activity. Viking incursions had established significant footholds, particularly in the north and east of England, known as the Danelaw. These Viking territories were established kingdoms, challenging Anglo-Saxon authority. The threat of renewed Viking attacks shaped policies and military strategies. Strong leadership and relentless warfare were essential to protect borders and people. The political map of Britain was a complex patchwork. The Picts and Scots were forming what would become the Kingdom of Scotland. The Welsh kingdoms were fiercely independent, often drawn into larger power struggles. Alliances were fluid, making diplomacy as crucial as the sword. Athelstan was born into this world of warriors, a descendant of the Wessex dynasty. His grandfather, Alfred the Great, defended Wessex against Viking onslaught. His father, Edward the Elder, extended West Saxon control over other Anglo-Saxon kingdoms. Athelstan inherited a strong military tradition and a powerful throne. This legacy required navigating political waters and commanding respect among warriors. The early 10th century was a period brimming with peril and promise. Martial prowess was highly valued, and kings were expected to be formidable leaders. Fragmentation offered opportunities for ambitious rulers to expand their influence. The need for security could drive kingdoms towards unity or internal conflict. Athelstan reshaped the political destiny of the island, forging a new kingdom from conflict. Athelstan, born around 894, was the eldest son of Edward the Elder. His early life was shaped by the royal court and military necessities. He received a comprehensive education, preparing him for kingship. Some accounts suggest he spent part of his youth in Mercia. This experience exposed him to Mercian political and military realities. His grandfather, Alfred the Great, influenced his formative years. Alfred bestowed upon him a scarlet cloak, a jeweled belt, and a Saxon sword. This act was seen as an early designation of Athelstan as a potential heir. Such favor enhanced Athelstan's standing and instilled a sense of destiny. His preparation for kingship was intensely practical. He amassed considerable experience in various campaigns against the Vikings. These early battles taught him leadership, strategy, and loyalty. He learned about controlling vast territories and facing enemies. By the time his father died in 924, Athelstan was well prepared. He was experienced in military and political matters. His upbringing equipped him with skills, ambition, and a sense of destiny. The stage was set for Athelstan to make his mark on history. In 924, King Edward the Elder died, sparking a succession crisis. His son Alfweard briefly succeeded him but died soon after. Athelstan, supported by Mercia, eventually prevailed. On September 4, 925, he was crowned King of the Anglo-Saxons at Kingston upon Thames, symbolizing the unification of Wessex and Mercia. Upon his coronation, Athelstan inherited a vast and complex kingdom. King Edward the Elder had extended West Saxon dominance over all of England south of the River Humber. This realm was a tapestry of different peoples and customs. Athelstan's task was immense, demanding exceptional skill and determination. He was well prepared for the monumental task. His upbringing had been geared towards kingship. His military experience was considerable. Alfred the Great's blessing linked him to heroic leadership. Despite Mercian backing, opposition simmered in Wessex. Winchester was a center of reluctance. The Bishop of Winchester did not attend his coronation. Overcoming dissent required strength and political maneuvering. Athelstan chose never to marry or father children. This was an unusual and profound choice. Historians speculate on his reasons. His commitment underscored his focus on governance. He prioritized the kingdom above personal considerations. King Athelstan faced a dire threat soon after his coronation in 925. A conspiracy led by nobleman Alfred aimed to blind him, neutralizing his rule. Fortunately, the plot was discovered, saving Athelstan and solidifying his reign. King Athelstan knew military strength alone wouldn't secure his kingdom. He turned to diplomacy, proposing a marriage alliance with Viking King Sitric of York. This pact aimed to neutralize threats and consolidate power. However, Sitric's death in 927 led Athelstan to prepare for an invasion, altering Britain's power balance. The alliance with Sitric, Viking King of York, was meant to stabilize the north. But Sitric's death in 927 left a power vacuum. Athelstan saw this as an opportunity, swiftly capturing York and expanding his influence. The capture of York in 927 was a landmark event, a pivotal moment in Athelstan's reign and in the forging of England. Never before had a southern king managed to extend such direct and formidable control over this major northern city, the historic capital of Dara, and a cornerstone of Viking power in England for decades. For Athelstan, it represented a significant step towards his goal of ruling a unified English kingdom, breaking down the old divisions that had long separated north from south. The psychological impact of this conquest resonated widely, signaling a new era of West Saxon dominance, much to the chagrin of those who cherished their northern independence from southern interference and rule. However, the simple act of capturing York did not automatically translate into peaceful dominion over the entirety of Northumbria. The region had a long and proud history of resisting southern control, and Athelstan's usurpation, as some Northumbrians undoubtedly saw it, was met with considerable outrage and resentment. The local nobles and populace, accustomed to their own rulers and traditions, were wary of this powerful king from Wessex dictating terms. Athelstan understood that holding York was merely the first step. Securing the broader Northumbrian territory and ensuring its loyalty, or at least its compliance, would require further demonstrations of his unyielding power and his strategic acumen. Driven by this understanding and his relentless ambition, Athelstan did not rest on his laurels after taking York. He knew that other northern power centers needed to be brought into line if his control over Northumbria was to be truly effective and lasting. His gaze soon fell upon Bamburgh, the ancient fortress capital of Bernicia, another key stronghold in the north, ruled by Ealdred Ealdufing. An attack on Bamburgh would send a clear message throughout the northern lands that Athelstan's authority was not to be trifled with, and that he intended to be the undisputed master of the entire region, not just a single city. The show of force proved persuasive. Athelstan's military campaign pressed towards Bamburgh, and faced with the might of the West Saxon and Mercian army, Ealdred Ealdufing made a pragmatic decision. Rather than risk almost certain defeat in the devastation of his lands, Ealdred chose to submit to Athelstan's overlordship. This act of submission was another significant victory for Athelstan, further consolidating his grip on the north. With both York and Bamburgh acknowledging his supremacy, his influence now stretched impressively across the vast and often unruly territories of Northumbria, laying a critical foundation for his claim as king of all the English people. King Athelstan's vision for Britain expanded with his Northumbrian campaigns. He aimed for overlordship, demanding subservience from northern and Welsh kings. At Amont Bridge in 927, rulers like Constantine of Scots and Hywel Dda of Wales acknowledged his authority, marking a step towards Britain's unification. Athelstan secured the submission of northern kings and turned to the Welsh kingdoms, seeking clear recognition of his supremacy. He summoned the Welsh kings to Hereford, emphasizing his dominance. They submitted, acknowledging him as Mechteyrn, or Great King. Athelstan then defined the border along the River Wye, solidifying his control. Athelstan's assertion of overlordship over the Welsh kings at Hereford came with tangible obligations, including a substantial annual tribute. This tribute included gold, silver, and 25,000 oxen, straining Welsh resources and sowing resentment. Welsh literature, like Arm Prydyn expressed a desire to rise against Saxon oppressors. Athelstan fortified Exeter, expelled the Cornish, and fixed Cornwall's boundary at the River Tamar. King Athelstan inherited a rich tradition of Anglo-Saxon kingship from his grandfather, Alfred the Great. Alfred defended Wessex and initiated significant reforms. Athelstan expanded these principles, adapting them to his larger kingdom, aiming to create a unified legal system and promote social order, forging a sense of Englishness under his rule. King Athelstan's law codes, issued at Greatley and Exeter, aimed to create a more ordered society. They addressed public order, theft, and the responsibilities of lords, reinforcing royal authority. Athelstan's laws also standardized coinage and measures, facilitating trade and reducing fraud. Enforcement relied on local officials, ensuring justice according to royal decrees. King Athelstan's reign was marked by deep personal piety, profoundly influencing his policies and image as a Christian ruler. He supported the church, promoting monastic life and aligning his kingship with Christian ideals. Athelstan's patronage included founding monasteries and collecting religious relics, enhancing his kingdom's prestige. His close relationship with the church ensured that royal policy was infused with Christian principles. King Athelstan's legal reforms aimed to support the poor, reduce feuding, and promote arbitration. His charters emphasized his authority, adopting grand titles like Rex Totius Britanniae. These measures strengthened his rule and fostered a unified English identity, laying the groundwork for the future English state. Governing Athelstan's vast kingdom required new administrative methods and centralization. His realm was larger than any previous English king's, encompassing diverse cultures. Athelstan innovated a sophisticated, centralized government. The royal household and proto-chancery became crucial. Athelstan's scribe drafted many official documents. These charters were detailed and uniform. King Athelstan's vision extended far beyond the shores of Britain. He actively engaged with continental Europe, integrating England more fully into the political and cultural currents of the wider Christian West. His foreign policy was not solely focused on military threats or alliances within Britain, but also involved sophisticated diplomatic outreach to powerful European rulers. This international perspective was remarkable for an English king of this era, and significantly raised England's profile on the European stage. Athelstan understood that the stability and prestige of his kingdom could be enhanced through strong connections with the leading powers across the Channel, moving beyond relative isolation. One of the most effective tools Athelstan employed in his European diplomacy was the strategic marriage of his numerous half-sisters to prominent continental rulers. These alliances were carefully chosen to forge bonds with key political players. For instance, his sister Edgith married Otto Thirst, who would later become Holy Roman Emperor, a hugely significant match that linked the English royal house with one of Europe's most powerful dynasties. Another sister, Edhild, married Hugh the Great, Duke of the Franks and a dominant figure in West Francia. These marriages created a network of influential kin across Europe, fostering peaceful relations, facilitating trade, and enhancing Athelstan's international standing. Beyond dynastic ties, Athelstan's court became a notable center for intellectual and religious exchange with the continent. His patronage of monasticism and his own scholarly interests attracted learned men and important texts to England. Conversely, English churchmen and scholars traveled to Europe, contributing to the revival of learning there. This period saw a significant flow of manuscripts, relics, and ideas between England and continental centers like Fleury and Corbie. Athelstan himself was a recipient of precious books and gifts from European rulers, further demonstrating the vibrant cultural connections that he cultivated, ensuring England was not a peripheral island but an active participant in European Christian culture. Through these combined efforts, his legal and administrative reforms at home, his strong assertion of overlordship within Britain, his devout promotion of monasticism, and his astute diplomatic networking across Europe, Athelstan fundamentally reshaped the English kingdom and its place in the world. His policies fostered a greater sense of internal cohesion and projected an image of a powerful, well-ordered Christian realm. By the end of his reign, England was not only larger and more unified than ever before, but also more integrated into the broader European community, a testament to Athelstan's far-sighted and multifaceted approach to kingship, truly earning him the title of the first King of England. By the early 930s, King Athelstan had meticulously constructed a position of unparalleled authority across Britain. His military victories and diplomatic maneuvers elevated him to a status no English king before him had ever achieved. Athelstan was effectively the overlord of Britain, acknowledged by rulers from Scotland, Wales, and Viking areas. This period represented a high watermark of his reign, creating a semblance of unity under his dominant gaze. The peace Athelstan established rested on his continued strength and vigilance. After the submissions at Amont Bridge in 927, peace prevailed in Athelstan's realm. The kings of Scotland and Strathclyde acknowledged his overlordship. In 934, Athelstan launched a major invasion of Scotland. Historians debate his motivations, but internal security and external threats likely played roles. Athelstan's preparations were extensive, showing serious intent. He amassed a large army, including 4 Welsh kings, underscoring his overlordship. Athelstan's formidable host, including Welsh kings and Danish earls, set out in May 934. The invasion was a two-pronged assault by land and sea, ravaging Scottish territories. No major battles occurred, suggesting a strategy of overwhelming intimidation. Constantine likely retreated, avoiding direct confrontation. The overwhelming display of military might during the 934 invasion of Scotland achieved King Athelstan's immediate objectives. By September, Athelstan was back in the south of England at Buckingham, where Constantine witnessed a charter issued by Athelstan. Constantine is described as a subregulus, acknowledging Athelstan's superior status. In 935, another of Athelstan's charters was attested by Constantine and other rulers, reinforcing Athelstan's authority. The renewed acknowledgements of Athelstan's overlordship temporarily restored order and English dominance in the north. However, coerced loyalty breeds deep-seated resentment, awaiting an opportunity for retribution. Constantine likely began to contemplate ways to reclaim his kingdom's autonomy and avenge the recent indignities. The Scottish campaign and its aftermath sowed the seeds for a far greater conflict. While Athelstan consolidated power in Britain, Olaf Guthfrithson emerged as the Norse king of Dublin in 934. Olaf aimed to expand his influence and reclaim lost territories in northern England, particularly York. By August 937, he had secured his power base in Dublin and turned his attention towards England. Olaf saw an opportunity to challenge Athelstan's dominance and form a powerful coalition. A crucial alliance began to form between Olaf and King Constantine II of Scotland, cemented by Olaf's marriage to Constantine's daughter. This union created a formidable partnership, united by a common enemy. Owain of Strathclyde also joined the alliance, seeing an advantage in weakening Athelstan. Together, they began to plot a major offensive. The coalition of Olaf Guthfrithson, King Constantine II, and King Owain of Strathclyde represented a significant threat to Athelstan. United, they believed they possessed the strength to confront him on the battlefield. Olaf aimed to reclaim York, while Constantine sought to restore Scottish independence. Owain joined to protect his realm from English encroachment. Smaller groups of Vikings and northern warriors likely swelled their ranks. This diverse coalition prepared to launch a coordinated invasion of England in autumn 937. They intended to combine their forces to overwhelm Athelstan's defenses. The decision to invade in autumn aimed to catch Athelstan off guard. The Allied forces launched their invasion of England in autumn 937, exploiting the element of surprise. The combined army represented a direct challenge to Athelstan's authority. As they marched south, they plundered the lands, sowing terror among the local population. Athelstan initially seemed slow to react, but he took his time to gather a strong army. Notably, Welsh kings remained neutral in this conflict. The delay allowed the coalition to advance deeper into England. The threat to Athelstan's kingdom was severe, with the fate of England hanging in the balance. Athelstan finally marched north with his army, accompanied by his half-brother Edmund. As Athelstan and Edmund led their army northwards, anticipation of a monumental clash grew. The invading coalition had brought a vast host into England, raising the stakes considerably. The two armies converged at Brunanburh, though its exact location remains a mystery. The atmosphere on the eve of the battle was thick with tension and preparation. Both sides understood the immense significance of the fight ahead. For Athelstan, it was a defense of his life's work. For the allied kings, it was a gamble to break free from English dominance. The warriors steeled themselves for the brutal combat ahead. The fate of dynasties and the future political map of Britain hung in the balance. The Battle of Brunanburh in 937 was a monumental victory for Athelstan. Alongside his half-brother Edmund, he faced a formidable coalition of enemies. The fight was exceptionally bloody and hard-won by the English forces. The invading kings were comprehensively defeated, their hopes shattered. Olaf Guthfrithson fled back to Dublin, and Constantine II suffered personal loss. The battle cemented Athelstan's status as the supreme ruler in Britain. His victory was celebrated in heroic poetry, and his name became synonymous with strength. However, the northern regions remained volatile, and future challenges to English dominance would arise. A few short years after this defining military victory at Brunanburh, King Athelstan's remarkable life drew to its close. He passed away on the 27th of October in the year 939 at Gloucester, a significant royal center. His reign had spanned 15 transformative and truly remarkable years for the English people. Interestingly, unlike his father Edward the Elder and his grandfather Alfred the Great, Athelstan chose not to be buried at Winchester, the traditional resting place of West Saxon royalty. This was a deeply significant personal decision. It spoke volumes about his individual perspective and his unique reign. He clearly had his own distinct plans for his final resting place. Athelstan had previously expressed a clear wish to be interred at Malmesbury Abbey, located in Wiltshire. He had shown considerable favor and patronage to this ancient abbey throughout his entire reign. It was also at Malmesbury that he had chosen to bury his two young cousins. These were the sons of Ethelweird, who had tragically fallen fighting alongside him at the Battle of Brunanburh. His profound devotion to St. Aldhelm, the abbey's revered 7th century abbot, was well known. This choice of burial perhaps reflected his strong Mercian connections and his deep personal piety. It notably set him apart from the established West Saxon dynastic traditions of his illustrious forebears. The kingdom that Athelstan left behind upon his death was vastly different from the one he had inherited. It was significantly larger in territory, more politically cohesive, and considerably more powerful on the British stage. He had successfully extended direct English rule further north than any previous English king had managed. He had also brought the various Welsh kings under his firm overlordship. Crucially, he had created a strong administrative and legal framework for a unified England. His successors would therefore inherit a formidable, yet undeniably challenging, realm that required astute leadership to maintain its integrity. Despite his truly immense achievements in forging a more unified kingdom, that unity remained somewhat fragile. Upon Athelstan's death, the men of York, ever resistant to southern control, immediately turned to Olaf Guthfrithson once more. They swiftly proclaimed the Viking king of Dublin as their own rightful king. Consequently, Anglo-Saxon control of the north, which had seemed so securely established by the victory at Brunanburh, quickly collapsed. This dramatic turn of events clearly demonstrated the often tenuous nature of his northern conquests. The long and arduous fight for a truly and permanently united England was, it appeared, still far from over. King Athelstan's enduring legacy is not defined by his impressive military victories alone. His contributions to the development of the nascent English state were notably multifaceted and exceptionally profound. He diligently built upon the important legal reforms initiated by his grandfather, Alfred the Great. He issued his own series of comprehensive law codes during his reign, These laws were specifically designed to establish better order and ensure greater justice throughout the land. Furthermore, he worked tirelessly to create a more centralized system of royal administration. This was absolutely vital for effectively governing his substantially extended and diverse kingdom. Through his innovative legal and administrative reforms, King Athelstan laid crucial groundwork for the future. He was actively shaping the very institutions that would underpin English governance for centuries to come. His great national assemblies, which were attended by powerful magnates from all across Britain, were pioneering. These councils fostered a growing sense of shared participation in the kingdom's most important affairs. He was, in many significant ways, a principal architect of the early English state. His dedicated efforts provided a clear and effective blueprint for many future rulers of England to follow and adapt. King Athelstan's influential reign also marked England's decisive emergence onto the wider European stage. His carefully considered strategic marriage alliances successfully connected the English royal house to powerful continental dynasties. His royal court became a notable and respected center for learning and religious exchange with Europe. He himself was a renowned and avid collector of sacred relics, a practice which greatly enhanced his spiritual prestige. He skillfully projected an image of England as a sophisticated and powerful Christian kingdom. Under his rule, England was no longer perceived as merely an isolated island on the fringes of Europe. His personal character appears to have been a compelling blend of a fierce warrior, an astute diplomat, and a devout Christian. He was undoubtedly a formidable and inspiring leader of men in the heat of battle. He also proved to be a shrewd and effective negotiator with neighboring rulers. His deep piety was clearly evident in his generous patronage of churches and monasteries. His unusual decision to remain unmarried and childless further underscored his profound dedication to his royal duties. He seemingly devoted his entire life to the unwavering service and betterment of his kingdom, a truly remarkable commitment. The highly respected 12th century chronicler, William of Malmesbury, offered particularly high praise for King Athelstan. He wrote with evident conviction, "No one more just or more learned ever governed the kingdom." This glowing assessment clearly reflects the deep and lasting respect that Athelstan had garnered. Both his contemporaries and many later historians readily recognized his exceptional qualities as a ruler. He was widely seen as a monarch who successfully combined formidable strength with profound wisdom. His reign was retrospectively considered a golden age by many observers who studied this complex period of English history. Despite his truly monumental achievements, King Athelstan is sometimes unfortunately overshadowed in popular historical narratives. Other prominent figures, such as his grandfather Alfred the Great or the later William the Conqueror, often seem to receive more widespread attention. This may partly be due to the inherent complexities of the early medieval period he inhabited. Or perhaps the more overtly dramatic nature of those other rulers' struggles captures the public imagination more readily. Yet, Athelstan's vital role in the story of England was arguably just as pivotal, if not indeed more so. He built directly and effectively on Alfred's foundations to create something entirely new and expansive. King Athelstan's compelling claim to be considered the first king of England is undeniably strong. He was the very first monarch to rule over a territory that closely approximated the geographical extent of modern England. He successfully united the disparate Anglo-Saxon kingdoms under his single crown. He also subdued the Viking-held territories within England, most notably Northumbria. He received the formal submission of other British rulers, including those from Scotland and Wales. He actively fostered a sense of a single English realm. He was far more than a regional king. He was a truly national figure. His grand vision was for a unified island, ideally under his supreme guidance. In conclusion, King Athelstan stands as an absolutely foundational figure in the long tapestry of English history. His reign was a critical and transformative period of state formation and national consolidation. He proved himself to be a highly successful warrior, a far-sighted and innovative administrator, and a genuinely pious Christian ruler. He took the fragmented political legacy of his ancestors and, through skill and determination, forged a recognizable kingdom. The England he left behind for his successors was significantly more unified and far more powerful than before. His remarkable achievements decisively set the stage for the future development and enduring identity of the English nation. His memory truly deserves to be widely celebrated. Thanks for making it to the end. I hope you enjoyed the video. How about hitting the like and subscribe button to be notified when we upload more videos on historical figures? And as always, thanks for watching.